Perfect. Okay. Hello, everyone. So we're here to discuss conflict resolution. Um, so I'll start off with the definition. Conflict resolution is a process of resolving the conflict using communication techniques such as common ground and nonviolent communication. Two of the techniques which we will be using today in our presentation. So we'll start with introductions. Um, Natasha, you can go first.
My name is Natasha White. I'll be playing Joshua. Joshua is an 18-year-old student attending Rutgers University. He is seeking counseling services at the university. Um, his mom will be present at the counseling session there.
Correct. Taylor?
Hi, everybody. I'm Taylor Clough. I'm going to be playing the social worker in our scenario today, and I'm meeting with, of course, Joshua and Mother Linda at one of the CAPS offices at Rutgers University.
Mhm. And my name is Adrian Gonzalez. I'll be playing Linda, the mother to Joshua, and I'll be attending this session with Joshua to maybe work through some conflict. So we'll set the stage with you next. Thank you all for your introductions. So, some scenario background. So, again, we have the three characters in this scenario: Joshua, who is going to be played by Natasha, and that will be the client; Taylor, who's played by Taylor, the therapist; and Linda, who will be played by myself, parent to the child. So Joshua has sought mental health support at the CAP Center at Rutgers University. Joshua has disclosed to his mother recently that he has been engaged in mental health services for a few months now. Now, after hearing this news, Linda isn't too happy. She gets angry with him, and her argument in this situation is that she should have been made aware by Joshua that he was seeking mental health support. She believes that because she is paying for it and she is Joshua's mother, someone should have notified her that he was seeking mental health support, whether that would have been the social worker Taylor or Joshua himself. Um, and so Joshua and Linda made an appointment with Taylor at the CAPS Center to discuss this issue, hopefully to come to some common ground. So just to set the scene, we're going to be in Taylor's office speaking. So we'll start this scenario in three, two, one.
Hello, everyone. I hope you had a nice week so far. I want to first start by thanking you both for offering to come in together today. I think it'll really offer us a nice chance to understand just a little bit better where everyone's coming from and really explore these feelings. As I understand it, Linda, you've been a little frustrated with Joshua has not been super forthcoming with information about our sessions and really what brought him in to begin with. Does that sound about right?
Yes, well, that just about covers it, Taylor. That's just the bare minimum of my concerns. I really do not understand why I've been left out of this process since the beginning. I mean, I'm the one paying for these sessions. I'm paying for his tuition.
Mhm.
He's barely 18. He's a child. He doesn't know what he's doing. I deserve to know what's happening.
All right, Linda, thanks so much for sharing that. Before I start to address your concerns, I realized I didn't really set up some ground rules before we started. So I'd like to do that now, if that's okay with you guys. I really want this to be an open forum for communication. We have to all speak respectfully and calmly, though, for that to be the case. And most importantly, listen to one another before speaking. I promise you'll each have your own chance to speak your piece, okay?
Fine. That's fine.
Okay, so now, Joshua, I'd love to hear your side on this.
So his side of this is that he's ungrateful and has always been leaving me out of the loop on everything. He feels fine. He thinks that's appropriate. I'm the one who pays all his bills. I take care of everything. Isn't that right, Joshua? You're ungrateful.
All right, Linda, I'm going to stop you right there. See, we can't really understand each other's views if we don't follow the ground rules that we set up. So please try to be more respectful of Joshua's speaking time going forward. And I promise it'll help us sort all this out a lot faster. So, Joshua, if you would.
Okay.
Thank you, Taylor. Mom, I'm not trying to leave you out. I just feel like this is something I have to do alone. And quite frankly, you are part of the problem that brought me here. I don't feel totally comfortable talking to you about this. Why don't you get that?
Because I'm your mother and you are my child. You need to, you need help doing everything. Like, you don't know what you're doing. And why would this be any different? Why was I not included in this? How long have you been coming to this quack. Who even is this person you're telling all your business to? I have the right to know what's being said about me.
Again, I just want to step in here and make sure that we're addressing each other respectfully during this discussion. This should be a safe space for everyone to discuss, okay?
Of course, this is all about you, Mom. Just like everything else. No, Mom. This time I'm trying to do something for me, and it's killing you. But this is my life, and I just want to talk to someone that listen to me for once.
I can sense some tension in the room right now. If it's okay with both of you, I'd like to do an activity so that we can try to really understand what's going on a little bit better.
I think I'm expressing myself pretty clearly, but fine. If this will help us, I'm open to it.
I'm cool with that.
Okay, so thank you both. We're going to use a common ground technique today. So this is typically used to help open up communication between individuals and promote better understanding of the other's viewpoint. So for this activity today, I'm going to ask that Linda starts and clearly articulates her feelings. During this time, Joshua, I just want you to listen, and then when Linda finishes, you can repeat in your own words what she said. So we'll keep doing this until Linda is satisfied that she's been heard and understood. And after this, the same will be done for you, Joshua. Does this sound okay with everybody?
Sounds good to me.
Can we just get this show on the road already?
All right, Linda. So I'm going to ask you to start. Please express what's concerning you to Joshua.
Okay. I'm feeling that Joshua's not understanding me, and he is so ungrateful. I cannot believe that he wouldn't tell me that he is accessing mental health services.
This is ridiculous. I'm only trying to do what's best for me. How dare you make this about you?
Joshua, please let Linda finish speaking. You will have your chance to speak, I promise.
Thank you. I feel betrayed and hurt that he would come here on my dime, if I may add that, to talk crap about me. I am his mother, and as his mother, I have the right to know what is going on in his life. This is unacceptable behavior. Joshua, you really hurt me.
What I'm hearing is that you feel hurt and upset because I did not come to you about how I am feeling. You feel betrayed because I sought out help from someone, and you feel that due to my age, I should still be coming to you with my problems.
Linda, do you feel that Joshua fully understands your position on the issue at hand? Is there anything that you'd like to clarify?
Yes, actually, I think he summed it up quite nicely. I don't feel the need to clarify anything else.
Okay, Linda, then thank you so much for sharing that. I do want to point out that I'm not hearing a lot of feelings, and instead it seems like you're expressing more observations. So let's try to bring it back to the current moment and how we're all feeling right now in this room about the situation at hand. Remember to only use productive I statements so as not to inject blame into the conversation. Now, with all of this in mind, Joshua, it's your turn. Would you like to speak to your feelings now?
I feel I'm going through a lot of stress in my life, and I don't feel that I have anyone to talk to. I don't feel that anyone understands me. Mom, you don't treat me like you treat me like a child. And although I'm a young adult, you're always saying that I need to get over something when I'm mad. Sometimes it's not that easy for me to get over things. I like being able to talk to a counselor because I feel that I'm talking to someone that won't judge me or dismiss my feelings.
All right, Joshua. Thanks so much for sharing that. It's really good that you're expressing your feelings. Now, Linda, can you repeat back what Joshua just said to him? And remember, only repeat back what you heard him say.
Okay, Joshua said that he doesn't feel that he can talk to me because I treat him like a child and I'm judgmental.
Joshua, do you feel that your mother heard you correctly and with everything you're feeling?
Yes and no. I feel you think I'm blaming you for not being able to open up to you. I feel this way about everyone. I don't feel I have anyone I can talk to. I want to be able to express my feelings to you without feeling judged or dismissed.
All
Okay.
right. Linda, why don't you try that again?
So, Joshua doesn't feel like he can talk to me or to anyone because he feels like he will be judged, and that it's hard to express his feelings without being judged or dismissed by others, including myself.
Joshua, do you think that your mother now has a better understanding of what you're feeling, or is there anything you want to clarify now at this point?
Yes, I think she has a better understanding of what I'm feeling. I don't feel the need to clarify anything.
Good. Okay, so I hope I can already feel that the tension has resolved a little bit. We just brought it down a bit. So this exercise was supposed to help you both hear what the other person's saying without focusing too much on your own individual feelings, and I think it did just that. Do you two, though, think that we've reached a point where you can both truly understand where the other person's coming from?
Yeah.
I think so.
Good. Well, I'm really glad we've reached this point. Now, going forward, I think it's important to help you take this healthy communicative style out of session and into your daily interactions with each other. Because, I mean, this was really great, but we got to apply this to life as well. There's another technique that can be applied broadly. It's known as nonviolent communication. And if you guys are comfortable, I think it would really benefit you both to practice it a little bit in session today so you can use it going forward.
That sounds fine with me. Now, Taylor, I just want you to kind of talk about the one we were using earlier. What did you say that was? I didn't really quite hear you that well. What did we use?
We're going to be using nonviolent
Oh,
communication.
okay. Nonviolent. But the one we were using before was common ground.
That was common ground, yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so exactly what does that mean? I don't think I've ever been violent with Joshua when we talk, although I admit I do raise my voice sometimes. I'm just a loud person.
Well, nonviolent communication isn't exactly about being physically violent or verbally abusive. It's more of a method of better connecting with another person. It's a free exchange that doesn't inject any blame or guilt into the conversation, and it's being really aware of meeting the needs of all involved.
Okay.
Yes, that sounds good because, Mom, when you raise your voice, I shut down. And when you dismiss my feelings, like when you say, get over it, Joshua, it makes me feel worse.
Thank you for that, Joshua. So, there's a concept in nonviolent communication that's actually known as moralistic judgments. So, these moralistic judgments are types of statements that imply that something or some action is inherently good or bad, and that can actually do damage just through having this assumption. So, ultimately, statements such as get over it, like you were just saying, imply that there might be a right way for dealing with something and it might neglect the present experiences of the person. It's in this kind of language that we actually engage violently, and it's in being aware of this that we can learn to express ourselves in a healthier way.
Hmm. I had never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Great. So it seems like we have a better understanding of the concept of nonviolent communication. So if it's okay with you both, I'd like to practice expressing our feelings as our own without putting the blame on the other person. Being honest with what we're feeling and owning those feelings will make it easier to figure out what we need from each other moving forward. So, how does that sound?
I'm down for that.
Sure, let's try it.
Okay, great. So, since it worked out so well the last time, let's start again with Linda. Linda, why don't you try expressing how you feel in the moment and really what brought you in today?
So, if I'm being honest, I feel sad because I didn't realize that my son feels that I'm judging his feelings, and that's why he's not opening up to me.
That's not true at all, Mom.
Joshua, Joshua, please allow Linda to finish speaking here. Your job at the moment is really just to listen, take in what she's saying just as before. Linda, would you like to continue?
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Just pull myself together. So, what I really mean is that I do not feel happy with my current situation as a mother because my son is not comfortable opening up to me. I would like him to feel able to be himself around me without reservations.
That's a great start, Linda. Thanks so much for sharing. Now, Joshua, why don't you explain how you're feeling right now using this nonviolent communication?
Here we go again. I feel that you're still making it about you.
Joshua, I understand that you might feel frustrated here, but just remember the ground rules. Remember to speak our feelings without blame or criticism and use I statements. Keep in mind that as we move forward, the feelings you express are your own. And while someone else can provide stimulus for our feelings, ultimately, no one else can really make you feel anything. So, Joshua, try that again.
It makes me feel withdrawn when I hear you say to get over it. I would like to be able to talk to you and for you to listen.
That's great, Joshua. You actually just articulated a need of yours. Needs are important because when we feel they've been met by ourselves or another person, we feel a sense of contentment with ourselves. We just feel good. You were saying that you have a need for your mother to listen to you without judgment. Is that true?
Yes, exactly. I think that would solve a lot of our problems.
Linda, how do you feel about
I think I feel okay. I never realized I was doing that. So I think moving forward, I think nonviolent communication would help us communicate effectively. And I want to create space for my son to tell me what he is feeling and how I can support him in meeting his needs. All I want is to be there for him, to understand that I love him.
Thank you, Linda. So, what we've just done is we've established that all either of you really want is what's best for Joshua. You want him to be happy, to feel understood. It seems like you're both really on the same side here. So now we can go ahead and practice making requests of another person using the nonviolent communication technique. So just be careful with your phrasing. Make sure that you're really genuinely asking something of the other person and you're not demanding anything of them.
What does that mean? How is there a difference?
So that's a good question. A demand is something that places a type of undue burden on the other person. So whether you actually say you have to do this or not, you make it clear in your language that it has to happen. It's very one sided. So let's practice now, Joshua. What do you need from your mother?
I need you to stop breathing down my neck. I want to be my own person. And if I can't get that from you, I'll have to rethink things.
Joshua, this is exactly the kind of language we're trying to avoid here, saying you'll have to rethink things if something doesn't happen. So let's just try to be clear about what you really want without guilting your mother into any action. When we're really open with each other and we want everyone's needs to be met, this will happen naturally, I promise. So would you like to try again?
Mom, I have a need for space and autonomy. This is a new chapter of my life, and I would like some more freedom to be myself without necessarily keeping you in the loop 24/7. I would like to come to you when I feel it's appropriate.
Now, Linda, does that sound like a need that you can comfortably meet right now?
Yes, absolutely. I didn't realize that you felt this strongly about this, Joshua, and I'm sorry.
So now, Linda, we're not forgetting about you. What are your current needs?
Joshua, I hear you on this. I would say I need to check in with you from time to time to know that you're doing well. It can be a quick phone call or a text message. I just want to know that you're safe.
Joshua, how does that sound? Is that a good start for you?
That sounds reasonable. Actually, it might be nice to know when we are going to talk instead of the phone calls while I'm busy. That sounds nice.
Great. So I want to thank you both for sharing today and being so respectful of each other's viewpoints. I do want to encourage you going forward to both continue speaking to another with compassion. Try to stay grounded in the current moment as well. And just remember, empathy and patience are key when dealing with each other and with anyone, really. I know you'll both continue to grow your relationship, especially as Joshua does start this new and exciting chapter in his life. And just know, Linda, that we have all these wonderful mental health services here, and we also want what's best for Joshua. So thanks again. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you, Taylor. Lovely meeting you.
Love.
And scene. Recording. Hi, beautiful people. Okay, so now we're moving on to the discussion portion. So we're all together now to kind of talk about the scenario and what was at play here. And so as we are thinking about the play, y'all, or the play, child, look at me. As we're thinking about the scenario, what are some issues relating to diversity and oppression that came up that we could see between maybe Linda and Joshua, or maybe even the therapist? I don't know. What are your thoughts? I can say one thing that came up for me, which is really around adultism and that how that can affect um, a parent, I guess, child relationship, but also how it can affect a client provider relationship, right? We had Linda really pushing for needing to know everything that's going on in Joshua's life, especially with the social worker. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
Um, what are your thoughts? Anything else to add?
I think that's the big one. You know,
Yeah.
you had struggles all around. So there was the Linda social worker struggle, but then like of course the main core problem was Linda and Joshua and how the mother felt like she had a like a right biologically almost to know
Yeah.
everything going on with her child, although that really isn't the case, you know, with she felt like she deserved to know everything going on in Joshua's life without actually ever having provided support or compassion in the past,
Yeah.
which is just unrealistic.
Yeah. Natasha,
Right.
anything else to add?
I agree with what you both said. You know, Joshua is struggling. He wants to be looked at as an adult, not as a child.
Hmm.
You know, he's transitioning. He's in college now, and his mom's just having a hard time. It sounds like letting that transition happen. And
Yeah.
but you see
Yeah.
later on throughout the process, it getting resolved and her kind of not being so aggressive and kind of just listening to what Joshua has to say.
Yeah. I think like the main thing too, like I think you both touched on it, was really the fact that Linda kind of needs to let go of feeling the need to control whatever's going on in Joshua's life. And also the fact that Joshua is a client. He has the right to privacy as
Right.
a young adult and kind of exercise his agency and his own autonomy. And I think what happens in working with youth, in my experience at least, is that parents always feel like they have a right to know what's going on in the child's life. And that's not necessarily the case all the time. Like,
Right.
young folks have the right to privacy, to gain access to certain things without having their parents know of it. And I think that's something that, is perfectly okay.
Right.
So we can transition into talking about the techniques used
Mhm.
in the role play. So the first one that we used, which didn't really pop up during, but we can discuss now, is common ground communication. And would anyone like to kind of jump in, maybe provide some more information on that?
Natasha, you wrote this one, right? You want to
I
go?
did. So this process of communication and involves with the two people, two sides, hearing each other out and repeating what the other person has said until they kind of have an understanding of what that person is trying to say. Not necessarily having to understand, not having to agree or have a resolution at the end, but more just being able to understand what the person is trying to say. And that's the main point of that strategy, even though
Mm,
through ours it sounds like we did kind of resolve it, but with the common ground communication doesn't necessarily have to have an outcome like that. But
mm,
in ours we did have I think we did come to an understanding, I think at the very end in the resolution.
yeah. Is there anything else to add, Taylor?
I guess just like how we used it for
Hmm.
our role play. So what we decided on, because we weren't sure, we knew we wanted to use nonviolent communication and common ground. We weren't sure which one should go first though.
Hmm.
And ultimately we decided that Linda and Joshua were going to come in hot and heavy. We were like, okay, how do we calm them down? How do we cool it off a little bit? Common ground seemed like a really good way to do that. So we tried to execute it in the beginning because we have these two sides that are just not ready to listen to each other. And before we can get really achieve anything, work on anything, we just had to get them listening to each other. So we started with this one before moving into nonviolent, just for that reason.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I kind of like that too, because it helped me kind of, get into character a little bit in the beginning and just be who I envision myself in a Hollywood movie. Just like very sassy, very like, let me channel my inner, Rosalind Russell. I don't know, something. But yeah, I think it was a really good way to kind of start off and then transition into kind of more of a nonviolent communication style. Um,
Right.
yeah, and I like kind of what you said, Natasha, is that when we're speaking to common ground communication, it doesn't always have to be, there doesn't always have to be a resolution to what's being said, right? It's really just to kind of get folks to listen to one another. which is
Right.
what we don't do sometimes, right? Or that
Right.
what I don't do when I'm in a certain conflict, um, is that you have a hard time listening to the person,
Right.
and really getting the essence of what they're saying, um, which is
And I
useful. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that there was a couple times that were interrupting each other, and Taylor did a
Hmm.
good job with kind of like listen first what the person's trying to say,
Yeah.
so you can have an understanding.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And that tool's really useful for this, for like trying to, I guess, calm things down and just get folks to listen to one another, because that can make things so much easier for just listening and looking for what's actually going on, right? Listening closely, what's actually going on in the background. Um, so yeah, I think that's pretty good. And do we feel comfortable? Do we want to transition on to nonviolent communication?
yeah, I think we should.
Yeah. Okay. So nonviolent communication skills training. Um, Taylor, do you want to speak to this slide?
Sure.
Okay.
Um, so nonviolent communication involves a lot of moving parts during and after it, but really, like, at its core, it's just being aware of moralistic judgments, which we need to talk about in the role play, how good and bad, how we like assert good and bad onto situations quite frequently, and we often use statements that imply our own biases. You have
Mm,
to distinguish between feelings and thoughts throughout, and just recognize that like needs need to be met. Needs
yeah.
have to be met, your own and other people's, in order to feel a sense of, like we talked about, contentment, happiness. And then, of course, there's the part that we ended up walking them through, making requests and making sure to state what you want without using statements that simply say what you don't want, which we all learned about from Dr. Rosenberg. And be really vigilant that your language is not demanding, that it really is a request. And then throughout, which we mentioned this at the very, very end, I think it was like the last bit actually in the role play, but it's really important when you're communicating nonviolently to just listen constantly with empathy, neglect statements and thoughts that inject any judgment, blame, or criticism at all, just like out the window. And have patience with yourself and others throughout. It's not going to come easily and it's not going to go smoothly all the time, but just like take a deep breath and just remember that we're trying to do what's best for everyone. So,
Yeah.
nonviolent.
Yes, nonviolent. Um, if I can add something, I think when we were thinking of this, and I may be wrong, but I feel like maybe these things are things that maybe we've experienced, right? Like, not maybe necessarily like the scenario specifically, but just like the communication style, right? Like, I think, at least for me in my own experiences, violent communication or, those kinds of, ways of speaking to conflict are pretty popular. And now knowing these kinds of things, these you having these tools present, I think has really been helpful in like being aware of how we're speaking to what we're feeling and what we need from other people. I don't know.
Right.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's such a problem in our society. I know we already talked about this in like our group discussions and stuff, but like it really is such a problem. And
Yeah.
I think that all of us have had experiences with like this violent communication with loved ones, friends, and just knowing that like there's another way is
Yeah.
kind of, it's good. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
I mean,
absolutely right.
definitely for me, I'm already practicing this at home because, like Adrian said, we talk like this on a normal basis and not even sometimes even realize it until we have this course and until we learn this. So in actuality, you're just causing more stress and more arguing or not getting along by the way you're talking to the other person. You're not resolving anything because of your demands, but
Yeah.
not even realizing it at all.
Yeah. And it kind of helps you understand where the other person is coming from, right? If they're using um other forms of communication that aren't nonviolent communication styles, and really picking up on the need behind what's saying, I think has been something that's resonated with me. Um, is like understanding the need behind what's being expressed, which I think is pretty useful. So yeah, that's the gist of our presentation, and our little discussion portion. Would you like to add anything else, or are we a-okay?
I think we're good.
I think, yeah. And I guess the last thing would just be all of us together started
Oh
off
yeah.
like just like as a group.
Yeah,
I think that we reached community at the end.
Oh, definitely.
I don't like any of you.
I hate you both.
No, I hate you both. No, I would agree. I think we reached community stage. I think there was some time, right, where we were kind of in that pseudo community. I think we kind of rode that for a little bit.
Yeah.
And maybe we transitioned through the motions.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was definitely some periods of anxiety.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out like who's gonna do what and like when is this gonna get done? Because like I don't know, Adrian lives on the West Coast and like we're dealing with like constant like time schedule differences.
Yes.
We all work, but we got through it. I think you guys are awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree. I love y'all. All right, so that's it for our discussion. I hope you enjoyed our scenario and see y'all later.
Bye guys.
Bye.